brought to you by Ardecor. We keep you covered. And Horizon Recording Live. Live sound for your events.
Welcome to the next episode of Comeback Liner, brought to you from the fans, by the fans. And today we have Fantasy Baseball 2018.
You did?
What did I do?
Welcome to the Comeback Loiner.
I thought you said comeback llama.
Don't you guys ever fucking interrupt me and my fucking beginning ever again. No,
What do you...
welcome
Game
to the
on.
next episode of Comeback Liner. This is our Fantasy Baseball episode, and we have a great show for you today. So we have Sinan to my left and Kyle and Q to my right. And the first question, I'll throw it off to Q, is if you had the number one overall pick in this year's draft, who would you go?
Time out. Who's freaking excited for fantasy baseball?
This guy.
This guy.
A
Not
little
really,
bit.
but fantasy baseball. All right. Geez, this is so tough. You get the first pick in the draft. Who do you take? Do you take Mike Trout? Do you go pitching? Do you take Kershaw? All wrong. You go with Charles, Cobb, Blackman. Check out that dude's stats. Coors Field.
Yeah, you don't even have to say
Contract year. 37 bombs. He's going to score a crush. I didn't want to swear, but he's going to score a ton of runs with DJ LeMahieu and Arenado. Arenado's had like 130 RBIs the last 2 years. All they do is freaking score runs in Coors. It seems like a no-brainer.
Did you know Charlie Blackmon had 90 extra base hits and a 330 average, and he hits next to Arenado in that ballpark? I actually really like that pick, and it's very not conventional. I think he's been criminally underrated for years.
He's been
now.
the leadoff hitter for them.
Well, it's
Yeah,
not
he's in the round
sexy,
run.
though. He's not a sexy name like
Which blows
Trout.
my mind.
Like Mike Trout or Kershaw. Like, yeah, you're right. He was dropping bombs in the home run derby last year, though.
It's true. For a small
all of
guy,
them
he
are really
hits,
for him.
he hits a ball.
Jeez. But I think that's the reason why he's going to drop in the draft. But if I had the number one pick, it seems like a no-brainer to me.
You wouldn't
Mike
jump
Trout
at
got
Altuve?
We're splitting hairs at this point.
Really, you are. I mean, between those three, how do you... If you're in the first three picks, you can't make a mistake.
Yeah. And at that point, when you have the first pick, you really start to analyze what you're going to do in the second and the third round. Because when you have the first pick, you can't go wrong with
It's
any
really
of them.
important. You need to have the kind of strategy where you got like a four round strategy, and you fill out four key positions that have kind of shallow positional eligibility. Maybe a top shortstop because it's a little shallow, or say like a Kershaw or a Scherzer, where you kind of have that bona fide ace. But you have to have your overall four picks need to be well rounded. You can't go 3 first basemen in a row. You can't go 2 ace starting pitchers. Cough, cough, Kyle last year.
Yeah, well, when they both go down in the first month of the season or the year.
That's why you generally don't go starting pitching in the first round, because
It's so volatile.
it's too
But
volatile.
you look
It's
at
way too
starting
volatile.
pitching, though, however, and by the end of May, you can trade a third-round starting pitcher for a first-round talent hitter because by that point, you've got people missing already and everybody's scrambling for pitching.
So who would you go number one overall?
If I had the number one pick,
Yes.
part of me would have to say Trout simply because the outfield is the weakest of the positions. I believe your second base is deep. Your shortstop is actually deeper than the outfield.
I wouldn't say it's deeper.
When you're talking high value players,
I mean,
look at your shortstop.
Well, look at the output compared to the outfielders. Like you see Trout's hitting 40 bombs, 320. How many shortstops are putting those numbers up?
Okay, but you're getting 40 bombs out and 320 out of Trout. Well, you're also getting stolen bases out of Trout.
Yeah.
If you're looking at, that's what I'm saying. You can't really go. If you take a second round, go into your second round, you're looking at guys like you got Ramirez, you've got Lindor, and you have Correa.
Yeah, so the top 4 are pretty good, but after that, it's kind of a precipitous drop-off. Unless you want to go with, like, Starlin Castro or something.
You still got
Shortstop?
Machado.
You got Machado, you got Seager.
Bregman.
Is Bregman a shortstop?
Bregman's
Yeah.
shortstop.
Dude,
Third
he's
base
going to be a
shortstop
stud. You know he's hitting
eligibility.
second in that lineup? between Springer
This
and
year
Altuve?
has the most I've seen of position-eligible players. Guys who can move everywhere now.
Do you guys think Javi Baez is going to be good this year? Sinan, what do you think?
You know me, I'm a big Javi Baez fan. I think if he is out of the 8th spot, I think he will have some better numbers. I'm a big believer that, he swings at a lot of pitches because he knows the pitcher's behind him.
He swings at 66% of the pitches he sees.
Exactly. I know, but, when you have a pitcher behind you and you need to produce something, you kind of have to do that sometimes. But we'll see.
See, I think you guys are missing out on one of the biggest names and generational talent. You guys know who? Bryce Harper. Won the MVP, can hit 50 bombs. He could put up a 450 on base percentage. The guy's a bona fide stud.
Did you say talent or talent?
Talent, generational talent.
All right, I just want to clarify. Make
Yes.
sure we're on the same page here.
Yes.
But
No, it's Bryce Harper.
But
Oh, what's the but?
but
'Cause
he's never had
injury-prone?
100 RBIs before.
and has he played more than 150 games? Maybe once.
Yeah, and he won MVP, surprise. So yeah, his talent translates well.
But in fantasy baseball,
You need a guy who's going to fill every stat as much as possible.
all right, question you guys.
every day.
This
Who
is
has
where
the
you guys are all
highest
wrong.
highest ceiling in baseball? Absolute highest ceiling if you put 162 games together.
Trey Turner.
Trey Turner. Okay. You want to expound on that?
162 games out of Trey Turner. You're going to get 80 stolen bases. You're going to get 25 to 30 home runs. You're probably going to get 90 to 100 RBIs. And you're going to get 15 triples. You're going to get 40 doubles.
And you hit in front of Bryce Harper. So that's huge. That's like 120 runs.
How did Trey Turner get injured last year? Do we have a stat checker who could check that out?
Trey
Stealing a base, right?
No, Trey Turner got hit by a pitch by the Cubs.
Can't prevent that.
Yeah, Joe Madden, man. He got pissed and he just pegged Trey Turner in the back. Went down.
I think it was the
I don't
wrist, buddy.
For me, first pick, I like to be conservative. I like to play it safe. I don't like to go with Bryce Harper. He has a high ceiling, get you a lot of numbers. For me, I like being really safe. I go with Paul Goldschmidt. He's going to get you the 150 games. He's going to get you 550 at-bats, get you about 20 steals, 35 home runs, 110 to 120 RBIs.
And
you
he
just
plays at Chase
contradicted
Field.
yourself. You said, "Oh, he gets you all those numbers." Yeah, fantasy baseball is about numbers. That numbers are what we need.
How did I contradict myself?
Isn't that what you want?
That's why
numbers.
I say I go Paul Goldschmidt.
No, that's why you said you wouldn't go with Bryce Harper because he gets you all those numbers.
I say he can, but he's also a risk because of the injury play.
Rewind it.
No, I think Goldschmidt is a kind of a no-brainer, top 5 pick, along with Harper, Trout.
Well, he got injured the year before too, though. So that's kind of the reason why he dropped a little bit last year.
but
I know he's
There's-
first, and it's loaded at first.
There's certain things. I mean, not to cut you off, but there's certain injuries that are unpreventable. I'm talking like you got guys who have pulled muscles and constantly having pulled items. That it's just it constantly happens to the same players. Guys who get hit by a pitch and break a wrist, it's not really in their fault. It's not their body makeup. It's an outside factor happened.
No, I agree. Trey Turner is a great pick. Wouldn't disagree there.
So wait, let me get a quick question. You would seriously take Trey Turner over Jose Altuve?
In 162 games,
No, this
a
is
question.
fantasy baseball.
Yeah.
You're
You-
drafting.
you
You
told-
get you got the number 1 pick. You're gonna take Trey Turner over Jose Altuve. That's what you're trying to tell me.
based on your question to me, is if they played a full 162 games, I
No,
would
but
take
now
Trey
he's
Turner.
asking-
And now
New
he's asking me a
question.
different question.
Yeah. What's the new question? The new question. What's your answer?
I would probably take Altuve.
Yeah. I mean, that's what. So you wouldn't take Trey Turner 1 overall.
Number 1 overall, no, but I think he has the highest ceiling.
I got you. Okay.
I would buy highest ceiling with that. If you knew he was going to play 162 games,
He's going to fill every single
Can
category.
I just give you one quick stat about Trey Turner? Do you know he has a higher average stolen base per game average than Billy Hamilton? And he's absurd speed. He had the 130.
Hamilton can't get on base.
I know, but I'm just saying per game average. He's known for being one of the best stolen base guys of all time, and he's averaging higher than. And Trey Turner's doing better than Billy Hamilton. He can reach base around like 38% of the time.
kind of what Sinan was talking about, though, with fantasy baseball and his Goldschmidt pick is playing it safe. In the early rounds, you really need those picks to hit. So going conservative isn't a bad thing. Picking Trey Turner in the top 3 or 4 picks, to me, that seems extremely risky when you're talking about the likes of Arenado, Betts,
Oh my God.
Goldschmidt,
Bona fide superstars.
mid-round guys. So when you're stuck in that position where even if you don't have the first pick and you have the mid-round pick, I think going safe is a smart move, because if you miss early, chances are you're going to be finishing in the 8 to 12 range at the end.
Oh, no question. If you lose your first 2 picks, it's a big hole to get out of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I mean, let's be honest. At the end of the day, everybody's gonna take Trout. So
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I mean,
we'll see. I mean,
I love Trout. I've been a big Trout homer since he came in the league and got his 30 home runs and 49 stolen base season off of a waiver wire pickup. That was pretty nice.
I mean,
but
you guys are kind of biased because you're Cubs fans, but I was in a league where Chris Bryant went number 1.
yeah,
No way.
I was
I
in that
think
league
2
with you.
leagues.
talk about making a big
Multiple
mistake.
leagues.
Well, I mean, the problem with Bryant is his contact rate's too low. I mean, he's a great talent, but look at his RBIs last year. They're
Well, he's only
did he
what,
even
he
have 80
100.
last
He's
year?
had 100 RBIs one time in 3 seasons.
I mean, that's not good enough, man. You're the 2-hitter in a high octane offense.
Yeah, but you're also at the high octane offense without a leadoff hitter, so I can understand why he doesn't.
Leadoff hitter thing. We got Kyle Schwarber, Kyle. he's in shape
Even though
now.
he's dropped 30
Actually,
pounds, I still don't.
I heard Ian Happ might be doing leadoff for the Cubs. That would be really interesting. And then, do you know Theo said that Ian Happ, by the way, sleeper pick of the week for me, Ian Happ, Theo Epstein said is one of the best prospects he's had coming into the year in a while, and he thinks he's going to blow up. And last year he had 20-plus home runs and 350 at-bats. I think he's going to be a stud if he gets enough playing time.
I love a switch hitter at leadoff.
Yes.
So
I think Theo Epstein gets paid to blow smoke up his guys, though.
Why? Because he drafted
It's
him?
not like another GM
I
complimenting
disagree.
another team's guys. He's supposed to talk up his guys. So people like you draft Ian Happ in the 5th round.
But here's the problem I see, especially when you're dealing with the Cubs. The Cubs have an exceptionally deep roster. So
Yeah,
anybody you
sharing
pick
time.
outside of Rizzo, Bryant, and Contreras is going to be switched. They're going to be trading time with other players. You're going to see only 450, maybe 500 at bats out of guys like Schwarber, Happ, Baez,
So, question,
Russell,
question to
Almora.
you. Do you foresee any Cubs player, any of them, out of pitching or hitting, being a top 10, 80, like at the end of the year ranking?
Rizzo would be the only one I could think of doing it.
I think Brian could, in theory.
Yeah, he hit terrible with runners in scoring position last year.
Yeah, he just needs to
All
jack
it
those
takes,
RBIs up.
yeah. Even if it got close to respectable, like up to his actual average, I mean, his RBIs would have skyrocketed. Since we're talking about the first round, there's a name that sticks out to me. What do you think about Stanton in the first round?
Is he going to the...
He's ranked 9th or 10th.
Yeah.
I feel like he's ranked just outside the first round, like 13th. 14th,
But we're talking about injury history. We're talking about
look at that.
making a
League change.
conservative, smart move. There's a league change. Where would you draft Stanton?
Here.
Like if you were, let's say hypothetically, you're in the second round. It's the 15th pick. Stanton's there. Do you take Stanton?
At second round?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Okay.
Not even at the 15th.
So,
No. Okay, I'll give you a quick little anecdote. Okay, so 2 years ago, remember when Kevin had Giancarlo Stanton, and we were all trying to say how awesome Stanton is. He's got all this power, and not one person would take him at all. He was untouchable. He was kind of like hurt, and he was striking out a lot. 1 year later, hit 60 home runs or 59 home runs. So there's the big gulf of risk, right? So you can go from 200 hitter to 270 with 60 home runs. So that volatility right there, you need to discount your ADP just on that risk. So you take a more known commodity. I'd take Chris Sale over Giancarlo Stanton.
That's why you
any day.
picked Bryce Harper, who did the same exact thing. MVP year, followed by
I'm not drafting Bryce Harper.
It's funny you mentioned that because they're back to back
ceiling.
in their ranking. Harper's 9, he's 10.
No, I'm just saying that people are.
I mean, Harper
blowing
is really
smoke.
10. That's ridiculous.
And Harper's
That-
9.
No, that's insulting. So I think I might as well just read this off for everyone. So they have Trout, Altuve, Arenado, Kershaw, Goldschmidt, Turner, Betts, Scherzer, Harper, Blackman, Stanton, and KB, Chris Bryant. And out of those lists, I think Harper's criminally underrated and Blackmon, like you said, when you hit 330 with 90 extra base hits, that's top level stuff. That's MVP, Trout, and Harper.
And he plays in Coors Field.
And the fact that he doesn't get the love that those guys get and he's being picked 10th, actually, I might talk myself into getting Charlie Blackmon this year.
You're welcome. Based off of what you said, though, Stanton's never really been a career. He's not a 200 hitter, and that was the example you used. I mean, he's always been like around a 260 hitter, which is kind of what you expect. He's never really been one of those league leaders in walks. He has a ton of strikeouts. His only issue is health, and last year he had a healthy year, and he almost hit 60 home runs.
Yeah, it's insane.
So that's what makes him so tough to evaluate.
Do you think he can duplicate that season?
Exactly.
I think he could if he's
That's
healthy.
the type of pick, though, that if you're in the second round,
What?
but even if that's the ceiling, if you're at 10 and you take his ceiling, you just won.
No, exactly. But I'm saying it's hard to duplicate what he just did.
Well, you also have to look at it this way. Stanton in Miami was the #1 run producer. Now he's with the Yankees. He's going to be hitting behind Aaron Judge according to the projections. So if Judge continues to hit the home runs at the rate he's doing, Stanton's not going to see as much.
You saw his second half numbers, right? Do you know why he kind of skyrocketed and why he
Changed his approach.
Look at his stance. He's completely closed it. He's completely shut off. If that is a legitimate change that he's going to get accustomed to and they're not going to figure out, he might be hitting 70 home runs from here on out if he's healthy. Seriously, because he was a monster. He easily hit, 30
And he has
home runs
power to
plus?
all
He hit 33
fields.
in the second half of the season.
Absurd numbers.
big, strong guy, yeah. But I think it's, he made his adjustments. Now the coaches and pitchers are going to make their adjustments.
But he's going to a whole different league, too. So this could be harder on him than...
Exactly.
But it might be
I
easier
think-
because he might be able to play DH too. He might get some off days. He's in New York. He's going to have all that high New York model girls hanging out around him. Next Jeter maybe.
That's
Yeah, but how
distracting.
do we also know somebody else who had career years and went to New York, also known as Carlos Beltran, and then he absolutely blew in New York?
How old was Carlos
Yeah,
Beltran when he
seriously.
went to New York?
wasn't
38.
His first time in New York, he was like 30.
Are you talking about the Mets or the Yankees?
Yeah. Oh, the Mets.
Well, same difference.
Hold out.
It's the same difference. You're in a huge market.
All right. Well, we'll switch.
Without the prestige.
So, question to you guys. So, this is a big concern in the fantasy community: is when to pick your first ace. Kyle, I'll throw this one to you. When do you think is an appropriate time to pull the trigger on your Chris Sale or your Noah Syndergaard?
All right, I'll put it to you from my experience of how I've always drafted. There has been many years where I've taken a pitcher in the very first round, usually being Clayton Kershaw. Mm-hmm. Of those years that I've taken a pitcher in the first round, this past year was the only year that I didn't make the playoffs with taking a pitcher in the first round, simply because Noah Syndergaard got hurt right away and I lost him for the year. Mm-hmm. Now, if you take somebody... Now, I would not say taking Kershaw this year is a slam dunk anymore because he's having a back injury the last 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. So right now you're probably looking at, if you want a safe bet, if you're a 12th pick in the first round, you might be pretty safe taking Max Scherzer if Kershaw's gone. If Kershaw's there at the 12, I take him.
Kershaw's not going to last the 12.
So you think
I've
you
taken
take
him
Kershaw
top 5
over
the past year.
Scherzer still?
I
even
take
though
him.
Scherzer's had the better 2 years.
Actually, that's actually a really good question because I'm a huge Kershaw fan. When you can have an 11 K per 9 and a 1.5 walk per 9, that K minus walk ratio is insane. It's one of the tops of all time, and it's unheard of. And that's what allows him to have consistency with his numbers year to year because there's not a lot of volatility. He doesn't have people on base, and he doesn't give up a lot of hits, so the numbers are always suppressed. But the back injury is really what freaks you out. But Scherzer is almost equally gotten to Kershaw's level of performance with 11 K per 9, walking under 2. His problem was home runs, really.
He's still giving up a ton.
Yeah, but overall his numbers are studly. You get the 2.3 ERA with close to 300 strikeouts.
Yeah, he was like 2.5 ERA
with no
like
injury risk.
268 strikeouts, and there hasn't been that injury risk.
Yeah.
So when our fantasy expert Sinan brings that up, and we're talking about being conservative, which I like to be conservative as well. If I'm at the 12th pick and I have to decide between Kershaw and Scherzer, I'd go Scherzer.
Mm-hmm. That's
Higher
actually-
ceiling, Kershaw. If you told me both starters were going to go 32 starts, I take Kershaw. I just don't have any confidence there, especially with Kershaw and his pitching motion. I mean, there's a lot of stress on the back.
Yeah, it's not exactly an easy fluid motion.
No, I mean, every year I've won fantasy baseball is when I've done my first 3 rounds where I was very conservative, where those 3 guys. Why are you guys laughing?
How many leagues have you won?
I don't know. I've lost count. I was conservative. Got my first 3 guys where they got me the chunk of my stats throughout the year. They're going to be there playing 150 games. They're a hitter, giving you the 200 innings for the pitcher. I definitely go Scherzer if he's available late first round or second round before I go pitcher.
To kind of answer your question, though, not even just the names. It depends on what type of fantasy league you're in. What's the minimum innings pitched in that league? I think when you have an innings pitched of 20, I think you're better off taking an ace pretty high in the draft.
I agree.
And that way there you can add some bullpen arms, improve your ERA, WHIP, K per 9, and you have that starter who might pitch twice in the week, give you 14 innings, and you ride on your bullpen from there.
See, the standard formats now are basically wins, saves, ERA, WHIP, and what's the last one? It's strikeouts.
Yeah.
So those are your 5. So K9 doesn't matter. And I believe the standard, the standard format is only 7 innings pitched
For
Yahoo Standard League.
7 innings pitched per week?
That's the minimum to make.
No, I think it's 20.
No, we upped it ourselves in our own fantasy league.
7, and you just get like 4 closers.
That's what I'm saying. It depends on what your normal league is. But if you're looking at specifically taking a pitcher based on a 5x5 stat setup, you don't need K9. You don't care how much the guy walks. You really all you're looking at is wins in ERA. So
Great point.
in actuality, you could look at guys that had. Take Wood. He had 16 wins to 2 losses last year. That's a great pick to have.
So for all the people that are wondering when should I pull the trigger on my first pitcher, what round do you think should be an appropriate for an expert decision?
If Scherzer's there, it's a 12 pick. You take him right there. Otherwise, I would probably wait until around the 15, 16 range. And if you can't get anybody there, just don't go for the next.
Don't reach. So
don't reach.
Where do you say, like 4th, 5th, 8th? When's the appropriate
If you
time?
can get DeGrom, say at the 33rd, that's not bad. I would not. Verlander's rated really high, and while he had a fantastic season last year, he's also another year older.
He's got pedigree, man. He's a bulldog. Dude's a stud.
Pedigree or not,
dude, Verlander's always been good.
Pedigree or not, age catches up to pitching sooner or later. When's he gonna fall down off the trip?
I gotcha. See, for me personally, if I'm gonna pick a pitcher in the first 2 innings, the ones I would in first 2 rounds, what I would pick, I would do Kluber, Kershaw,
Great pick.
Scherzer, Chris Sale. Those are the only 4 that I would take in the first 2 rounds. Outside of that, wash it and wait till the 8th round.
So you
get
wouldn't
some nice deeps, get a nice Rich Hill.
You wouldn't go after Madison Bumgarner.
No.
Even though
He was hurt.
the only injury he had is because he decided to go on a dirt bike in the middle of the season last year.
Well, you
like
love
dumbass.
Bumgarner. I'm not a big Bumgarner fan. I mean, he's a bulldog in the playoffs, but he's not my favorite.
He
I'm
had-
not a big. I hate the Giants.
Prior to
dude.
last season, he averaged 220 innings a season, 220 strikeouts a
Yeah,
season.
he's good. I'm not drafting him. I don't know what to tell you, bro.
Yeah, I would go 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah.
Because of the volatility of starting pitching, I don't like investing my top picks in that. So by the 3rd or the 4th round, at least you can still get an ace. Like you said, Bumgarner is not very good. I'll take him in the 3rd or the 4th.
Well, yeah. I said in the
if
top
I
2
can
rounds.
get you Darvish on the Cubs, I would take Darvish in the 4th.
Darvish. Thank you for reminding me. Where do you guys think he's going to go this year?
I think he goes high 3.
High 3s.
Yeah,
Wow.
the Yahoo ranks has Darvish sitting here at.
Has he even ever thrown 200 innings? I don't think he has.
They have him at 53. But I think because we're
Because
based out of
Homer-
Chicago,
Yeah, because it's a homer.
I think
for-
he goes high 3s.
I got a question.
Yeah. What's up?
Otani.
Oh, did you guys see the GIF of Otani's slider? That shit was a
8
wiffle ball.
Strikeout batters.
12 batters.
He looked like Kyle out there on the mound. Holy
So
crap!
where do you think he goes? And
Well, do you hear what they're doing? I guess they're gonna have like an Otani hitter slot, and then an
They're-
Otani.
you're gonna be
pitcher.
able to draft him either as a pitcher or as a hitter. So he could be on two different teams.
Yeah.
You're gonna have hitter Ohtani on one team, and you're gonna pitcher Ohtani on another.
You know, I was not high on Ohtani when you told me he was like injured because I like to stay away from these unknowns, especially. But when I watched the replays, he was a stud.
So that doesn't scare you that he has an elbow problem and he's throwing a slider like that,
dude. He's still throwing 88. I mean 98. How
They've
bad
been
could his
saying
elbow
Tanaka has an elbow problem for the last 3 years, and he keeps throwing 200 innings every year.
That's true.
Rich injections into his elbow, and he's like, "Oh, look at that! He just grew a new elbow." You know, like how they grow an ear and stuff out of people's shoulders and whatnot.
Ohtani's ranked 95.
I think that's actually pretty undervalued for his upside.
Well, so where do you think he goes based off of the 95? Because I think he'll go.
I would say 5th round. This is a conservative estimate. I think he gets picked before Arrieta.
Well,
I'd be shocked.
Jake Arrieta hasn't signed with the team, so right now, it's kind of crazy to even consider picking.
What's a sign someone might be bad in fantasy when these billionaires don't want to put in $10 million to get Jake Arrieta to pitch for him?
Well, Jake
I don't
Arrieta's
expect good numbers.
Jake Arrieta's not wanting to sign for $10 million. He's got offers on the table for that. He ain't taking them.
I don't know if he has offers.
He's got, from what I understand, there's 3 offers on the table for him. But from what his camp has said, unless somebody comes up to his number, he's going to wait until midseason.
Really?
Because
that is insane to me.
to me, that makes no sense.
Just sign a 1-year deal and go back next year with all the free money coming off the books from all these big name teams like the Dodgers and Yankees.
You can sign a deal similar to JD Martinez or he can opt out.
He turned down $22 million a season. This
already. I'm saying not the money wise. I'm saying a contract where you can opt out.
Do you guys expect Arrieta to pull Dexter Fowler? You know how he came into camp like on the last week and they did the slow-mo with Rizzo patting him on the back. He's back. And then he wins the World Series and cashes in. You think he pulls in one of those?
I don't see that happening.
No.
Not at this point.
I personally think that Bosio was there for Jake Arrieta. That was the pitching coach on the Cubs. And we jettisoned him. And then, surprise, we signed Darvish. And I think they just gave Arrieta like, hey, we kind of hid the fact that you're kind of douchey, and we just moved on. And
so where would you draft Arrieta?
I was big Arrieta fan, but he's dwindling. He's too inconsistent. I would not. I made one trade for Arrieta and it ruined my entire season 2 years ago. So
traded him for Donaldson.
Dude, speaking of which, Donaldson, great value play. If you could get him in the 3rd round, boom, you'll win your league. You heard it here first.
You know, since we do this podcast, all the other podcasts are on, you know, you can find them online. And let's just hope people aren't going back to the old podcast where you guys are saying you take Arrieta over Darvish. And I was calling you guys idiots.
Well, the problem
this
is
about
Darvish
fantasy.
This is fantasy baseball, man.
Yeah.
Darvish is on the Cubs.
Never mind. I'll just sit here quietly.
I only like Arrieta because he was a known
so.
quantity. I mean, Darvish has better stuff. I don't know what to say, but
No,
Arrieta
it's not
was
even
just a known
that. When
quantity.
you're on the Cubs, you get more wins.
Yeah.
You're in the National League. You're in the Central. The Central isn't the cream of the crop in the National League. I would take the pitcher whoever's on the Cubs. Let alone, I said Arrieta because Arrieta's clutch, and as we've seen, Darvish is not.